Good
Did
morning.
he just say that to you?
What are you doing in the front room?
Does
Where's
that,
your happy set?
did everybody's Valentine's flowers go okay? Everybody
Ours are dead.
happy? That's good.
Theirs is still holding up.
Even my son's. But he didn't get one like that.
He got him, yeah, but were you away? Did he take care of him?
Yeah.
First thing you go in ours was a rose.
Maybe it was hot.
Yeah, the roses
Yeah,
were
roses
gone.
always go. I know she doesn't like roses, but that
She
was
does not
Valentine's
like
Day,
roses.
so.
No,
No,
I-
I know.
I don't like roses on Valentine's Day because they die quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
they
it
do.
depends. I have them in the bud vases. I had 3 left that are still, of course, my place is like 54, but they're still, and they're hard. And
Why do roses die faster around Valentine's Day?
Is there all
depends
forced?
on how long they've been in the,
It's
the
the pressure.
warehouse or whatever. But I was mad, Friday morning, I called for more roses because Thursday night I put them all away. And when I got in Friday morning, I just didn't like the way that they looked. I got 500 more roses Friday morning, and then I was on the phone with a couple people like, don't come in the morning because they got a drink. And when Matt came, I was adding the new ones too because I just didn't like the ones that I had. So it depends on your
What do you have to
heat.
do?
A lot of
Get the
people have the
photos
heat
away?
on now. No, I get credit for them,
Okay.
but and you know the funny thing is she didn't want them back, so I kept them in the bucket in the back, and
They just died.
they look fine. They just aren't they aren't what I wanted, what I liked. It was a new grower, and it just wasn't the rose I liked. Didn't open the same way, and the yellow ones are still nice and hard and firm, but they're not open at all. So I don't know. I'm not going to use them again. But
Yeah.
I was in a panic because you know people get the same thing all the time, and then you get something
Right.
different, and it's like But I don't know why they died. Because I haven't had a problem with any of them.
Maybe they just missed my beautiful face.
I'll just replace them next
No.
time. That's all.
Don't worry about it.
No, I do. I want to hear about it, but I
No,
have.
that's why I'm telling you, but
All
not
the-
to replace them.
Yeah. But does anybody have any questions or anything, or I'm kind of, this was a busy time. Easter is not so crazy, but if you do like things for Easter, I like to do different things for Easter, not those little, I call them tchotchkes, but just anything different. And if you ever see something that you like, just show me a picture of it, and I can do it.
Is Easter a bigger plant or flower?
Yeah, they'll love
Years ago, it used to be plants, but Acme's and ShopRite's kill us with plants. And honestly, there's not too many, they're all the same. They're all the same, except you can call my wholesaler as Acme and order 50,000 of them and get them at so much less than I can order, you know. I have some, but you have to start to learn to do different things, like instead of having 3 in a pot and that paper, I just use the bulbs. I don't buy them in soil anymore. I use them in bulbs. I put them on rocks in a glass jar or in the vase. You have to be creative because
Yeah, I'm all about local and I'm all about not buying from ShopRite. I bought some plants and I gave one cent before that car would be dead. And hers and mine were dead and they're supposed to last.
He bought mums.
I don't. Mums, I kill mums too. I don't know what it is. I took them home. and
Because you don't buy your
mine
mums at the
died.
right place.
I took a dozen home. They died. The ones I kept out in the front of the shop every
Mid-Atlantic
day, all
growers.
night. They stayed all
Mid-Atlantic
summer.
growers.
Mid-Atlantic Growers, one of my
Mid-Atlantic.
customers.
Mums grow.
They put about 1.4 million pots out, and his mums are phenomenal. All because
I
of
think
his,
it depends a lot on your soil in your yard.
well, he uses peat for base and all that kind of
Right.
stuff, but then because of his radiant heat in his greenhouses, they grow really tight, strong roots.
So you do
because
the
of-
radiant heat system?
What?
You do that, you manage that?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
When
this
you
is-
buy them, you want them tight. Don't buy them with any color on them. You know, you have to see what color you're buying naturally, but buy them in a tiny peat ball head because that will make them last a lot longer. Once they start to open, that's when you're gonna have a day faster.
You don't do teleflora, do you?
Not anymore.
Okay.
I started a new thing with the tribute store. It's called the Undertakers. All seem to, they all wanted me to be it's called a preferred florist. Okay, so I did finally break down and do it. But then I was catching on because I would get an order for something, and I had to look it up one day what it was, and it sold for $149, which is what you were gonna pay online. The Undertaker gets money, but they sent it to me for $46.64. So I was like, I sent them an email, I can't do it for that, can I get more funds? And they sent me the money that was on the website. So I've done it with every order, and I'm getting more, but I'm starting to figure out that they're not giving me what you're paying anywhere near it, and they're getting a lot more than 20%.
I just
So-
asked because I know those purple things have Teleflora underneath, and I didn't think that you
No,
did it.
I was years ago, until I found that. We had such an astronomical year. I said to my mother and my grandmother, because we couldn't even walk in the shop, and I said to my mother, wait until we see what this is. I said, I think it's the biggest Mother's Day I've ever had. And when we figured everything out, I lost like 40% of the orders because it was all wire. You have to buy their container, buy the case load, so I have a lot of them. I buy the ones I like, and you can always use the blocks, but they have a minimum. Then they take that out of your credits at the end of the month. You have to buy the foam they use, they have to buy all the sticks that come for the cards. It's a scam that continues and continues and continues, and they pass it on to you guys.
I've sold to florists that did that, and their bottom line was terrible.
Oh, you cannot do wire anymore.
And they
And
work
they-
like dogs.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that if it's cross-country, you can't, unless the person calls you and tells you, you don't know how nice the flowers are, and that could,
That's why you should always take a picture of it and send it to Aunt Mary and say, look, your flowers are beautiful, and then she gets an idea of what she said.
See, in my business too, we have warranty work companies we do it, and I look at it a different way. And it might be that when I'm doing that work, I'm just straight labor on there. I have no customer acquisition cost, I have no marketing cost, I have nothing whatsoever besides that's profit coming in. It's like people would say, oh, I don't take credit cards. Well, when I do credit cards, I'm getting about 35% more on my ticket doing a credit card slip. Okay, they're taking 3%. I don't give a rat's ass.
I may start
People
the
are
credit
more
card.
ready to pay more because they're putting it on a card.
Where do you draw that line?
Yeah, but that is the line too, because once you get a following of all cash, it's very different, because now you're buying with cash. So now, instead of paying $3 for something, they'll give it to you for $2 for cash, and you can pass that savings on. I try to pass it on. I don't know how many of you know what flowers go for, but I don't. For you guys, I barely even sometimes double it. But I
Yeah,
don't.
it's a big profit margin.
It's a 3.5 to 6%.
There's a lot of losses.
But I just don't do that. And I do a lot of, if you have a box of vases, drop them off on my front porch, and then I don't have to charge the next person for that vase. And the next time you come in, I take that and count, and I give you more for the vases I would have to buy. So there's a lot of factors that go
And
with cash.
he's not the only florist that does that, because my mother-in-law in West Virginia, one of her friends is a florist, and my mother-in-law would buy vases for her for $0.25, 50 cents, and that's what she would use, because there's nothing wrong with them.
No, I like it because you get so many of them, what are you gonna do with it?
Exactly.
And a lot of people have a thing, they're like, oh, well, look, he's getting cash, he's talking about. I've been audited twice. We were talking about this the other week, me and Cynthia. I've been audited twice. I think somebody got a snit up their dress, and we had a little thing. So I ended up getting $13,000 back because I didn't report the expenses that I put out. I just don't do that. Like they send the same thing all the time, different places. If they're in Bordentown, I usually charge them $40. If I have to go to Browns Mills, now I'm in New Egypt all the time, I can do that price. If I have to go to Princeton or Lawrenceville, I have to charge them a little more, but I add more to it. So I don't factor in gas, I don't factor in time, because I usually do it. I get up in the morning from crack of dawn until 9 o'clock, I'm doing the deliveries myself, I don't charge for that. I get a delivery fee, but, you know, sometimes you get a
You gotta pay
$10
for your
delivery
gas.
fee and it's 25, 30 miles each way.
Right, you gotta pay for your gas.
So the cash is not, people think, oh, wow, you know, no, it really is not.
But you're not alone doing your deliveries, and I'm gonna let her know that you said that. Miss Daisy goes with you,
Yes, she does.
and she helps you, so.
Yes, she does, unless the car is full. She's not been happy lately. She was not. And I do have, like, I have buddies, my buddy helps me. I have a couple neighbors that, oh, I'm going to New Egypt, do you need anything to deliver? So I'll give them some flowers, and then I add a little more in because you've already paid for the delivery charge, but it's not costing me anything. She's doing it for free.
Right.
You know, but I'm old school. I know, and I get yelled at all the time. My mother yells at me all the time, you have to charge more. But, you know, I get the money elsewhere. But wire, do not call wire. If you can't sit down and take that 5 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, to get on the phone and explain to them what you want, send them a picture, then you deserve to, at
Get what you get.
$100, you're gonna get a $50 thing.
And today's a lot different. You could just go Google Maps, go to whatever town and hit florist.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see 50 florists around that town. How much harder is it to?
And you
hey,
can put
yeah,
the
I
address
need-
in with the zip code, and it will, not so much now with phone numbers, but, it will tell you the closest florist to where you're going. So, it's pretty easy, and I will do it for you. Years ago, we used to charge a $15 charge for us to wire something out. But I'll do it, like if you called and wanted something to Georgia and you saw what I liked or what I did, I would call them, show them. Then it takes time though. If I have 10 minutes extra in the day, or I would do it for you at no charge. But you're better off doing it yourself. We went through, in my old store, that's the difference. In my old store, Valentine's Day, I did about 10,000 roses for Valentine's week, the last Mother's Day, Valentine's Day I had there. This time I went through 2,000. The difference is, and with the cash and with no wire, what I made was my own. And if you came in and wanted a dozen, I wanted to give you 2 dozen. That was on me to give you that 2 dozen instead of a dozen. I'm not paying it to 3 other people, 3 other parties.
Well, that was a lot of walk-in at their old location too, right?
That's a lot of walk-in.
Yeah, because of where
And
we
when
were.
we had the store, when I first opened in 2014, I was so busy with the wire, I should have had my $1 million shore house, that I couldn't do out front. My shop was never decorated out front. I never had flowers out front. I didn't have the time. We were there from 6 in the morning till 9 at night, every day. And I made a third of what I made before because of that wire. It's awful. But now it's Easter, and you're gonna go in there and you're gonna buy these plants 3 for 10 or 3 for 15 or 12 or whatever it is, and they're gonna be the same plant that we get. The difference is I can't order 10,000 of them, you know. So, and now don't forget, there's a problem because of Florida and the weather and all. They were storing things. There is, watch your plants. When you're gonna buy a hyacinth in the supermarket, pull the soil back a little bit. There's a little bugs in there. You want to get it, make sure they're buying from a greenhouse, a local greenhouse too, because the ones that are shipped all over the place.
The ones
have
that
problems.
come from, like, you know, the Firehouse does as fundraiser, the Boy Scouts and all that, they're typically local, aren't they?
Yes, and Easter, I will go to, say, Hopo's or wherever, and I'll buy a couple $100 worth of
Okay.
Easter flowers. That's my donation, and then I'll eat them because everybody else is buying them from Hopo's, and, you know, but that's my donation.
Yeah.
So it doesn't pay us to get them. Poinsettia is the same thing. You know, it's very hard. It's not an easy profit, you know. But if you get creative, you can be. Now, you're not going to see a 3-pot hyacinth in my store because I hate that look. It's been that way since I've been like this little, and you have to get a little creative and do something different. So that's where I come into play.
And I will say, we had another florist in our group. Many of you know who it was. The creativity that Charles puts in his flowers is 200% better. And they last
Very good. They
so
last a
much
lot
longer. So it just shows you florist to florist isn't always the same
I'm
either.
old school.
I know.
I get the stuff, I prep everything as it comes in. The minute it comes out of the box, I'm hands-on, I prep them. I don't put them in, just cut them and put them in water and give you a packet of food. And I'm old school with, if there's a hole in it, you gotta fill it with something. You know, most of the time, unless you say I don't like a lot of flowers, I want greens, it's gonna be filled.
With
You know,
greens.
those little mugs of yours, they're getting bigger
Yeah.
and bigger and bigger, but I'm starting to enjoy, I got them down now, you know. But, yeah, it's about, your name too,
Yeah.
you know, and what you want to represent yourself as. That's pretty much what it is. But other than that,
And once again, that's another easy tip for a lot of people in this group if you want to do it. Every installation I do, every one, except for corporate stuff, Charles gets a tip. I have mugs made by my wife. They say service first, heating and cooling. Charles makes an arrangement, puts the arrangement in there. He puts his business card on there, our chapter roster, and a questionnaire about how, for us, for the customer to respond back to us.
That I also made.
That was made by Cynthia. So, I mean, I don't know, there's exterminator, if there's room in there, when you're doing a $3,000-4,000 termite job, above them, you get a customer. I can't tell you how many customers I get. I get the neighbor, I get the one across the street. The flowers you sent were so beautiful, you know. Come on, people.
but it doesn't
Not
have to be that.
And
It
it's
can
not that
be-
expensive. I
If you
mean,
do five, say you do 5 jobs in this area at one time, you can get a single rose. And on a day that I have free time, give me a few bucks to deliver them and I'll just take those and a single rose. That's all you have to do. It doesn't have to be a big elaborate thing. It's a thank you, it's a gesture that I appreciate your business, and that goes a long way because
Yes, it
people
does.
will tell you, thank you and appreciate you, and they'll tell other people that you appreciate them and your business. So people think, oh my God, I can't afford it. Yes, you can. And if you come to me, you can afford anything you want to, because I'll give it. Did you see my post on Facebook? Do you know how many people I had come in? The young kids today cannot afford a $50, $60, $100 vase of roses. I've never changed my roses. They're $50 in the vase, a dozen since the time I've been a little boy. I've been all over. I called a couple of places. They wanted $125 for roses in a vase. So I said, if you see something you want, please don't go without it and come to me. Tell me your budget and show me a picture. I must have had 3
this is
dozen
what Charles does for
people
me. In
come
a coffee cup, it says service first, heating and cooling. So once the flowers are dead in 3 months, because that's how long they last, Charles flowers.
Then you got the mug.
And then they got a mug sitting in front of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Charles don't really like the mugs because they're too tall and narrow, but
No, in the beginning, it took a while to figure them out.
They're different.
It's very hard in a tall, thin container because everything wants to go tall.
But as you can see, there's nothing
If you
s-
want any kind of side, you have to get flowers for that, and they're usually a little more on the expensive side.
Came out
But
nice.
they work out.
And-
And like I
They work out
said, there's
nice.
nothing special with the flowers. There's no fancy roses, no birds of paradise, nothing expensive. Just he made it look full, big, and bright, and people love it. So
And I will say he did the flowers for my daughter's baby shower, and all I did was I had 6 of them and I put them out. I put some of his cards underneath them because everybody kept saying, "Oh my God, the flowers are gorgeous. Where'd you get them from?" And I said, "It's local. His business card is right there," and they were gifts for people that came. But every one of them took a business card too. So
And the greens that go in those type of displays, are you growing them yourself?
No.
Or, oh, okay. all right.
We used to. I don't grow anything
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay.
I don't have space. Number
I was gonna
one.
say, where are
I
you
had
growing
a
it?
greenhouse before that was the size of my whole shop, but
You know that-
I
you know that
can't
field
do it.
out there?
No. Yeah, no. Everything. I buy everything.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I like to do it that way because you can have such a variety.
Yeah.
And if you notice, I don't use, I don't even know what the leather leaf is, the regular stuff that, I don't like it. I want my greens to last a long time because when a flower dies, you should pull it out and your green should last through the whole month. I use a lot of grasses and things. My grandmother taught me, she was self-taught, my mom, my grandfather did it. Years ago, everything was a checkerboard. So if you had a red one here, a red one had to be there. It had to be even, it had to be perfect, it had to be. And then I was starting to help a lady in Kingston who used to get me in hip boots going through the schmuck and all the swamps, and she was a phenomenal, her mind, and she said they grow, not everything grows that way. You have to do it as it grows. Some have a little short stem, some have no bud, some have tall. And it's between the combination, you have to be willing to change a little bit and go along with the times. But that's how I got into the Marriott, was starting with, she taught me how to do Marriott work. My grandmother could have done it, but if you put the two together, this woman would have won every time. So,
Anybody else have any questions?
I have one quick question. I actually have a contact who's a sales manager for a cemetery in Newtown. They actually belong to the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and they have cemeteries in Trenton and Salem and so on. Is that something, you know, when you think about ways to tip you besides buying flowers and stuff, do you do any relationships with like cemeteries, or is it mostly funeral homes?
years
or-
ago, we used to go to Bordentown Cemetery all the time. And it was much more personal. So when you have the town locked up, I would know that where your mother is, where your aunt is, where your sister is, and I could take your grave blanket there or your Easter flowers for you. If you have a little issue, that you go to the office, they give you the map. Now there's so many people, and there's so many people calling from out of town who don't know that information, and it's a lot. But if you took the time one weekend to come to me and say, here's my mom, can we go to my mom's grave in Bordentown, I want to send her stuff, but I'm in Levittown. You take me and show me where it is, and I would take something for you anytime you wanted. But it's very hard to walk through a cemetery, especially in the winter, in the snow, in the cold, and try to find something.
Especially now that a lot of them are flat.
Yeah, and the rules have changed to what you can have, the size, the height. So, yeah.
I mean, my sister's cemetery plot, you can't even put a grave blanket on there now. They
It's a
changed.
shame you pay all that money and
Well,
you can't have something on
The
the
sad thing
grave.
is, it
you know.
wasn't that way when it was purchased. They just recently said, oh, well, we don't want no grave blankets no more.
They told me this year my grandmother bought this, I call it the condo for the dead, because it's 10 lots on each side. Why she did it, I don't know, but it's got huge urns. And I did big, it almost looks like trees, all the greenery and the balls and the bows and all that. They told me it was too much, too big. People walking by couldn't get by. So I went out there with my little battery operated thing, and I sawed them off, and I called her out, and she said, what did you do? I said, is this good? Because I got my saw, but they're gonna stay in there. And I don't see anybody else who has anything near that size, but you have to kind of push them too, because when you pay for 20 lots, you want to put flowers on your grave.